Hi team, we are on our second lesson, statements, conditionals, and biconditionals. So lots of new things going on today, so buckle up and we're going to get started. You're going to be able to know the difference between conjunctions and disjunctions and determine truth values of negations, conjunctions, and disjunctions. So again, lots of new terminology, lots of new information. Try to absorb what you can and we will go from there, okay? So a statement is just a sentence that is either true or false. We call this the truth value of that statement. Typically, we use letters to represent a statement. P or Q is what we commonly use. Again, once we see these in action, things will make a lot more sense. So in this example here, it says supplementary angles have a sum of 180. What's the truth value to that? Well, we know that supplementary angles do indeed add to 180, so this would therefore be true. That is a true statement. So again, a statement is just a sentence that we can decide that is true or false. Now a negation of a statement has the opposite truth value. We show this in symbols using this little squiggly mark. It kind of looks like the top of a congruent symbol, right? This is our congruent symbol. We read this as not P. So on this last example, do you guys see how we had P and then we said supplementary angles have a sum of 180? This one is saying not P. So it is saying supplementary angles do not have a sum of 180. What would the truth value be to that? Well, we know this would be false. As previously stated, we know supplementary angles do have a sum of 180. So this is false. Okay, a compound statement is just like what it would be for your English class that you've known for a very long time. It's two or more sentences joined by the words and or. So again, it's just two statements joined by and or. Okay? If it's joined by the word and, we call it a conjunction. So a statement joined by the word and. It is written as P and then this and symbol. And the way you can remember it, this kind of looks like a capital A, right? So that upside down V is for and. And this is true when both your statements are true. They both have to be true in order for it to be true. Again, conjunction is for and. Now, disjunction is a statement joined by the word or. And we write this in symbol as P or Q. And this is true when at least one statement is true. So only one has to be true in order for the whole thing to be true. Again, I know I just threw a ton of information at you in like 4 minutes. Now let's see if we can digest it a bit and apply it, okay? So it says, given the statements below, write the compound statements, then determine their truth value. So we have 3 statements, P, Q, and R. We're going to read through them and decide if they're true or false. Okay, there are 7 days in a week. That's true. We do have 7 days in a week. So put a T there so we know it's true. March has 30 days. So some of you might know this off the top of your head, and some of you might, but March actually has 31, so this would be false. And Halloween is on October 31st. That is true. Okay, so step 1 was we had to decide if they're true or false. And now we're going to write their compound statement. So this one is saying P and, right, because that's an and symbol, Q. So we're going to write P out there. Oops. Remember when I said it's going to feel like an English class? Here we go. There are 7 days in a week. And now we're going to join them by the word and, because of that symbol there. And Q, March has 31 days. March has 31 30 days. And now we need to decide if this is true or false as an overall statement. Now if you go back, a conjunction, both statements have to be true, right? Both of them need to be true in order for the whole thing to be true. So if we look here, are both of these true? Well, we know that P is true, but Q is false. So therefore that means this whole statement is false. It's not true. Okay, we'll do one more. This time you want Q or R. So we're going to write Q out first. March has 30 days. Now we're going to combine it with the word or. Halloween is on October 31st. Okay, now remember, in order for a disjunction to be true, only one needs to be true. And since Halloween is on October 31st, since that is true, we can automatically assume that this whole statement is true. Okay, we'll say that last one to do together in class. Let's flip the page and learn a few new words, okay? Okay, now we have a conditional statement. A conditional statement is a statement that can be written in if-then form, okay? And now I'm gonna throw a lot of just like random stuff at you, okay? So if you want to see this in symbols, it'd be P, and then this arrow to Q. And you read this as P implies Q. If P, then Q. So we're saying P implies Q. The hypothesis is the phrase that immediately follows the word if, and the conclusion is the phrase that immediately follows the word then. And I think you guys have worked with hypothesis and conclusion in your science classes before, I would imagine. So let's identify some examples in these conditional statements. Okay, so it says, identify the hypothesis and conclusion. Here is our statement. If you live in Nashville, then you live in Tennessee. Our hypothesis, remember, follows the word if. So our hypothesis would be, you live in Nashville. Our conclusion would be, then you live in Tennessee. If this, then what? It's kind of what you want to think. One more. Again, identify the hypothesis and conclusion. So if the sum of the measures of two angles is 90, then they are complementary angles. So remember, our hypothesis follows the word if. So our hypothesis would be the sum of the measures of two angles is 90. I'm going to write this whole thing out. Two angles is 90 degrees. What's our conclusion? Then those angles are complementary. So then we can write they are complementary angles. Okay? Now the next two examples, we have to write our statement in if-then form. Okay? So it says, an obtuse angle has a measure greater than 90. There's kind of a few ways you could write this one, but I guess what I think of is if an angle measures greater than 90, then it is obtuse. If an angle measures greater than 90 degrees, then it is obtuse. And we are going to leave the rest of this for class, okay? So we have a few examples we need to do together, but I think it will be good just for us to recap. Again, I know I threw a ton at you right away, but I promise this chapter will be so much better if you take the time to watch these videos. So I guess I'm just kind of preaching to the choir since you're watching it now. I just appreciate you. So thanks so much. We'll see you in class. Have a super day. And until then, have a good one.